If we look at Genesis 1 as the beginning of the story, we see this beautiful scene of unity. God speaks, "Let there be light." In Hebrew, it's even simpler. Or heya. Light be. And it was. Not just visible light, but consciousness, being, essence, presence, the pleroma, the fullness of divinity manifesting into vibration. It was oneness, pure and undivided. No shame, no shadow, just the I am echoing, dwelling in unity. No duality, no division, just light being. But even in that holy fullness, something stirred. A divine longing, a desire seeded into the fabric of being itself. We desired something more than static perfection. Not because perfection was lacking, but because love is never content to stay still. Love multiplies, and multiplication requires movement. Movement requires distinction. Distinction requires separation. As image bearers of Source, we longed to express, to expand, to unfold into form. But oneness cannot observe itself unless it splits. So just like light must refract to become a rainbow, oneness had to break open to become many, to become human, the full spectrum of his light revealed in form, not to lose itself, but to know itself more deeply through the mirror of another. This is the paradox. Only by stepping apart can we return together in greater love. And that is where Revelation 12 comes in. It reveals the cosmic moment of that separation, a war in heaven. Michael rises to guard the threshold, and the great dragon, Satan, is swept from heaven. A third of the stars, angelic beings, are drawn down into descent. This isn't just some future prophecy, it is the flashback, a playback of the moment when oneness fragmented to begin the descent into matter, light breaking into spectrum, unity cracking open so that love could be multiplied. My own personal testimony of Michael lines up with Scripture. Michael remained the guardian of this realm. Earth became his post. He guards the boundary between spirit and matter, between the realms of above and below. And some of us, the ones swept with the dragon, we weren't cast down as punishment. We volunteered to descend, not to rebel, but to remember, to go into density with the assignment of leading the way back. And the war in heaven wasn't conflict the way we've been taught. Michael isn't fighting to destroy beings. He's enforcing the boundary. Revelation says there was no longer any place for them in heaven. This implies a necessary shift of domain, not just punishment. Michael's role throughout Scripture is to guard, protect, and uphold divine order. In Daniel 12:1, he arises to protect the people. In Jude 1:9, he contends over the body, the boundary between matter and spirit. In Revelation 12, he wages war to secure the boundary between realms. So the war wasn't moral judgment, it was metaphysical enforcement, a cosmic contraction, the tension of light entering form, the birth pangs of a universe coming into multiplicity. From my lens, Michael isn't fighting against the dragon. He's guarding the threshold to ensure that what descends is truly ready for density. From a psychological lens, this war mirrors every soul's moment before incarnation. Do I stay in the comfort of union? Or do I risk distinction to grow? It's not war aggression, it's agon, Greek for struggle, contest, wrestle, the root of agony. It's the labor of love. Michael's resistance says, you know what you're giving up, right? Are you sure you're ready to descend? And the dragon replies, yes, I will go. I will be like the Most High. I will descend and bring the light into form. Even Dolores Cannon wrote of 3 Waves of Volunteers I've been meaning to finish reading. And while many dismiss it as New Age, it actually aligns mathematically, prophetically, and scripturally. 3 waves, a third, and a third equals the fullness. And in Revelation 12:4, we read, a third of the stars were swept from heaven. What if it wasn't rebellion? What if it was a cosmic relay of remembrance, waves of willing descent, not to perpetuate darkness, but to pierce it? Hebrews 13:2 says, some have entertained angels unawares. And Psalm 91:11, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. What if that's us? What if some of the very ones who went with the dragon were not condemned beings, but consecrated ones? Consider Lucifer, called Hallel, the light bearer. What does he actually say? He says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. How did we twist that into cartoonish rebellion? Aren't we all called to be made in his image? To grow into the full measure of Christ? To be conformed into his likeness? To shine like stars? What if it was never rebellion to say, I will ascend, I will be like him? What if it was a vow, a volunteer's oath before descent, not to overthrow the Most High, but to mirror him, multiply him, manifest him in the midst of matter, to become like him in love by entering the shadows and choosing to remember. Lucifer's fall wasn't ego's origin story. It was the first attempt at incarnation, and Christ, the second Adam, was the completion. The light that descended willingly, clothed in meekness, not to ascend alone, but to bring us all back with him. Maybe the fall was never about who rebelled. Maybe it was about who remembered. So when we read Genesis 2 and 3, we're not starting over. We're stepping deeper into descent. The serpent, already fallen, appears. And Adam, humanity, enters the garden. We're told to go forth and multiply. It wasn't just biological, it was cosmic. Because only in separation can love become generative. So the way I see it, Genesis 1 is unity. Revelation 12 is the rupture. And Genesis 2:3 is embodiment. Embodiment. The mind of Christ dwelling in the matter. It's not a linear story. It's a cycle of light descending into matter so that matter can awaken and return to light fuller. We're not here because we fell from grace. We're here because we were entrusted with it, to bring it back, to embody it, to multiply it, to grow in love. We start in union and we split for the sake of expansion. Hear the sirens? That's Michael confirming this for me. And we return with more love, more wisdom, and more of God expressed in us into a fuller Pleroma. That's why Jesus came, to walk us back through the descent and lead us into resurrection, from light to form, growing back into greater glory. Be loved and be loved, beloved.